So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, and a new one just begun.
Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. I'm starting to get into the holiday spirit over here, and today I am going to be doing Happy Christmas, War is Over by John Lennon. It's definitely one of my very favorite Christmas songs. It's not too tricky to play, but the time signature is a little bit unusual, so I want to make sure you understand that to set you up for success. It's also one of my favorite chord progressions, and I'll go into why that is. Let's just get into it. Okay, so first things first, I recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. I put a link down in the description. That'll help you follow along and see where the chords line up with the words. And here's the chord progression for the verse. We've got an A major. That's gonna be A, C sharp, and E. And I'm gonna do left hand just single bass notes, just playing the note that the chords are named after. So I'm just gonna do an A there in my left hand with my second finger. This is middle C here, just for reference. Next, we've got a B minor, and by the way, I'm gonna go into all the little variations. For now, I just wanna kinda get the core chord before we do that stuff. So the B minor is gonna be B, D, and F sharp. I'm using my thumb on a B there. Then we're gonna go down to an E major, pinky on E, and then E, G sharp, and B. Notice this is the exact same shape in the right hand as the A major was. Next, we've got a D major, which is gonna be the exact same shape. I'm gonna come up and do it here, D, F sharp, and A. And I'm gonna actually move the left hand up and put my second finger on D here for this line. Then we step up to an E minor. It's just like the E major, except for the middle note is flatted down to just a regular G natural there, using my thumb there for the bass note. And then we've got an A, just like we were doing it before, but with the new hand position, that's the pinky for the bass note, and then back to D. I mentioned the time signature is a little bit weird. We are in 12/8 time. That means that each of these measures gets 12 counts. That might sound intense, but it's actually pretty intuitive when you break it down. 12/8 time is a compound time signature where you can feel things either in a very slow, kind of almost like a 4/4 pulse, counting to 4, or in groups of 3s or 6s, adding up to 12 at a much faster rate. Now, instead of counting in my head up to 12 for each measure, I'm just gonna count to 6 twice. That way I won't be rhythmically thrown off by thinking 7 and 11. Just everything is one syllable for each count. So that first measure of A might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You might have noticed my head nodding at a slower pace. In the time that I counted to 6 twice, my head was nodding 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's kind of like the slow pulse of 4 that's happening. So why don't we just say it's in a really slow 4/4 time? In a way that would make it easier, but a lot of the rhythms in the song, especially when it gets more active on the chorus, you can't really count it if you're only counting the 4s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to feel that kind of 12/8 sway. I think the easiest way to start feeling this is to count to 6 twice for each measure and then play on every 1 and every 4. So like this, I'm just gonna do it with the A major chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So practice that just with counting out loud and then just move it to the voice in your head. And then let me play through this first verse. So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, and a new one just begun. And so this is Christmas. I hope you have fun. The near and the dear one, the old and the young. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now that we have all that framework, let's start adding in those little melodies that are happening. So on your chord chart, it'll just say A for the measure of A major, but within this measure, what's really happening is we are doing an A major, an A sus2, an A sus4, and then back to the regular A major triad. The chord chart would be overwhelming to look at if I put all that on there. So for all of these, we're doing the same outside notes of the chord. We're just middle note and then second with the second finger, going up to 1, 4, 5 for the fingering there, and then back. For the B minor, it's going to be really similar. So we go up to this B minor shape. Our second finger should kind of rest on the C sharp here. And we're going to do down to the C sharp, up to the E, and then back. So both of those times it does middle, lower, upper, middle. Now for the E, we're going to use those same 3 alterations, but we're actually going to start with the sus4. So that's going to be with the 4th finger on A, stepping down, 3rd finger G sharp, down to the F sharp, and then back up to the middle. So upper, middle, lower, middle. And then when we go back up to the A, we do it the same way we did the first A. So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, a new one just begun. And so this is, so we're gonna go up to this D here, moving the hand. The D is gonna be just like what we did for the A. Christmas, I hope you have fun. So this E is a little bit weird. You could do, that would certainly be the easiest, but if you listen, that's not the melody that's played. You hear na 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 na, and this part doesn't really sound right to me unless you get this harmony in there. So this is, the E minor is a little trickier. It's gonna be regular E minor on that first beat. Then we're gonna go to the D sharp, or probably says E flat, with the F sharp. That's gonna be thumb and second finger. Still got my pinky on this B. So, and then we've got with the second and 4th finger, F sharp and A, and then it returns to the E minor. Then we've got that A, and the A in this line is kind of playing the role the E did in the line before, where it's going to do the upper, middle, lower, middle. So we're just kind of switching the order from how we did it on the other A's. And then back up to the D for the middle, lower, upper, middle. And I want to just go on a quick tangent about this verse progression because it's really interesting. We've got 2 lines that are actually the same thing, just in 2 different keys. So you can hardly notice, but he's actually transposed in the middle of the verse. So we started out in the key of A, which has a G sharp in it. That's why that E was major. And so the chord progression is like the 1 chord, stepping up to the 2 chord, minor, down to the 5 chord, major, up to the 1 chord again. Now, when we moved our hands to the hand position, D is in the key of A, so it kind of feels like, yeah, we're just going to a D chord here. But then we step up to an E minor, which is not in the key of A. That's in the key of D, which does not have that G sharp. So when you hear that E minor, it is a little bit surprising to the ear, and it snaps you into kind of perceiving a new key, which is that key of D. And then we go down to the A chord, which is now the 5 chord in the key of D. So that's why we do the pattern on that A, just like we did the E above it. So anyway, really kind of sneaky transposition, super cool. Before we move on to the chorus, I'm gonna just add a little bit more in the left hand, a little bit more rhythm. So at the start, I'm just gonna play twice per measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But once we get to the so this is Christmas and do the kind of transposition into D, I'm going to start adding extra hits on beat 6. Every time I count a 6 in that 12/8 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. So that's what happens when kind of the bass line and the drums start to kick in a little bit. Final detail, and this makes it a little bit trickier to play, so it's optional, but I'm going to do some stepping of bass notes. So when we get to the last measure of the first line on the A, I'm actually going to move my left hand up to the new position a little early and just step up that scale. A, B, C sharp, D. The timing there is going to be kind of at the second half of that measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. So on 4, 5, 6. One final little detail you could do is between the D and the E minor, you could step up chromatically. The bass on the recording does that. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sounds cool. And with songs like this, where you start singing before the first chord hits, you're kind of liable to start off key and then get surprised when you hit the chord. So it's good to know your starting note, which is A. So this is, it's just stepping up. So you can get that note in your head and then begin. So this is Christmas. And what have you done? Another year over, and a new one just begun. And so this is Christmas. I hope you have fun. The near and the dear one, the old and the young. A very Merry Christmas. Okay, so let's do that chorus. It starts out with a G major chord. We're still kind of feeling transposed into the key of D here. So we've got this G major chord here. I'm going to use my second finger there, so hand position changes. G, B, D, all white keys. Stepping up to an A major chord, just like we've been doing it. Then we're going to go down to an E minor chord, just like we did before. We're just an octave lower. E, G, B, fourth finger. And this measure is split in half. So we've got E minor for the first half, first 6 counts, up to G for the second 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down to D, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we've got this E dominant 7 chord. So that's going to be E, G sharp, B, and D. If that is a big stretch for your hand and it doesn't feel quite right, you could also just do the top 3 notes there, since the E is a little bit redundant. And that E dominant 7 also surprises the ear a little bit, because we've been in the key of D, and that's what pulls us back into the key of A where we started. So rhythmically in this section, I'm going to get a lot more energetic, and I'm actually just going to be pulsing on every count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 1s and the 4s I'm going to probably accent a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there's some kind of stepping details in the left hand we could do. Getting into the chorus, so I guess the last measure from the verse, you can, when you move your hand down, do a step up, D, E, F sharp, just like we did kind of getting into the second half of the verse. So we have just done the old and the young. A very Merry Christmas. And I just hit the D on each of those leading into it. Christmas and a Happy New Year. You can do a little chromatic walk up there on the G sharp. New Year. Let's hope it's a good one. So I also walk down there. Let's hope it's A. It's just stepping down from A, G, F sharp, E minor, 1. You can also step up on F sharp there to the G. So a lot of kind of walking bass line. You can do as much of that as feels good without any fear. And so this is Christmas. And then we're back into a verse. I ended up with my thumb on the A, so when we get to the verse, I'm just going to sneak my second finger up there. Final detail for this chorus, totally optional, but I'm basing a lot of this off the guitar feel in the song, but there is piano going on, and it's kind of high, and I can just kind of make out this little thing going on where it's like, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a... So I'm going to leap up an octave with the G. Then I'm going to step these two fingers up. In my chorus piano chord breakthroughs, we talk about this as stepping out in thirds. And then we just bring it right back down to the G. Timing there is kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After you kind of do it, you can just bring your hand back. Also, if the leaping is tricky, you could also do it down here. Really similar thing on A. This one's a little trickier because it has to go up and include the F sharp. On the way back down, I might use 2 and 4 there. Just makes it fit the hand a little bit easier. All right, cool. I think I've actually talked about pretty much everything we need to know for this song. One thing I'm going to do on the second and third verses that I didn't do on the first verse is after we've got that first line and we're kind of changing hand positions to do it in the key of D, rather than walking up here, I'm going to jump my hand down to the lower octave, just so this part feels a little deeper. You'll see what I mean when I do the playthrough. If you're working with like a 61 or 73 key keyboard, you might not be able to go down here, and you can keep it up like we did it before. Okay, cool. Thank you for sticking with me. I am now going to just play the whole song through so you can see how all these parts fit together. If you enjoyed this and you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe. Click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this. Give it a like and leave a comment letting me know what song I should do next. All right, here's my version of Happy Christmas, War is Over.
So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, and a new one just begun. And so this is Christmas. I hope you have fun. The near and the dear one, the old and the young. A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear. And so this is Christmas, for weak and for strong, for rich and the poor ones. The road is so long, and so happy Christmas for black and for white, for yellow and red ones. Let's stop all the fight. A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear. And so this is Christmas, and what have we done? Another year over, and a new one just begun.